a a hat over her buns.
My head's cold. What can I say? I'm bald.
Yeah, I'm not going to question that.
Little mushroom head.
Bruh, I'm dead. That's what you look like. You look like Toad.
I do. I'm aware of that.
Oh, it's incredible.
Okay, well, that's going into a file since we're live.
It's great.
Waka waka.
Waka waka.
Hello and welcome to this episode of the Star Wars Generations podcast. Friends, we have a full team here. Alex is here. Aaron is here. I'm Matthew. I'm here. And you know who else is here? Maul. Not Darth Maul, just Maul, the Shadow Lord. Because the trailer for the TV show coming out pretty darn soon has hit the airwaves. It's a trailer that Alex got to see already at Star Wars Celebration, but now the rest of us have seen. And since we're also going through the Clone Wars at this point, and since a lot of people seem surprised by the fact that Maul is not dead, we thought this would be a good time to talk about the trailer and to talk about the Clone Wars episodes where we learn once and for all that, yes, Darth Maul did not die on Naboo. Being cut in half in the Star Wars universe does not mean automatic death, which is fair. You know, if it goes under all the organs, you know, there's ways to make it happen. I guess, you know, a lot of hate plus cauterization. But anyway, we're here. We're discussing it. So, Aaron, let me just kind of start with you, jumping right in. Maul Shadow Lord, how are you feeling?
I'm so excited. I watched the trailer just a couple minutes ago. I haven't watched it yet. It looks really good. I'm excited about the way they're prefacing it with there being like so much of the downfall of the Republic and the rise of the Empire being important in this story. I'm excited about that. We're to assume that that's Darth Talon, right?
Yeah.
She looks a little pinker in the trailer.
She hasn't been corrupted yet.
Okay, I guess that doesn't change their skin usually, but I guess. Yeah, so I'm excited to see that. I know we're just going to get some of the best lightsaber fight scenes to exist because, I mean, this is an assumption, but I would guess since Ahsoka and Maul's fight in the 7th season of Clone Wars was motion capture, I would guess they're doing something similar for this show to maintain the integrity of just Maul's terrifying lightsaber abilities. So I'm really excited for that. We already saw a bunch of really cool fight clips in the trailer, so I'm excited. It should be good. And it's taking us into an aspect of Star Wars that, although it's a time period we've talked about a lot and has been covered a lot, it's not aspects that we've covered before. We being Star Wars media consumers.
Now, let's just lay some things out so everyone understands. What timeline are we in?
You go ahead, Alex.
No, you go.
I was gonna make a guess, so if you have a better idea.
I mean, we're in first. I want to say it's 5 to 10 years post episode 3. I can't remember the exact, but it is early Empire.
Yeah, it is. The way it's been described is it is a few years into the Imperial era. So I think it's kind of like at the end of the Bad Batch TV show, but still a good ways before Rebels. We're kind of entering into that period, basically between like the Bad Batch and Solo.
Yeah, and we see Maul engaged with multiple Inquisitors in the trailer, and one of them is the one we see Ahsoka kill in Tales of the Jedi before she had rejoined the cause or even considered rejoining the cause when she was still out in the farmland. So we're pretty early in the Imperial reign here. I mean, you even see from the Stormtrooper outfits that are very early Stormtrooper look.
Yeah. And so let's we're not going to dive too much into the Clone Wars we're not going to dive too much into the Clone Wars episodes themselves right now, but just let's kind of establish the timeline because again, there seems to be a lot of confusion out there. If I understand this, and you guys correct me, he has that fight in Phantom Menace, and then we don't see him again, and everyone thinks he's dead until in season 3 of the Clone Wars, a character named Savage Opress, who is also from the Dathomir clan that Darth Maul is from, becomes a dark side force user with the help of the Night Sisters,
Mm.
who, if you don't watch the animated shows, but you did watch, I want to call it Thrawn. It wasn't Thrawn's show. It was Ahsoka's show, Ahsoka. But the Night Sisters showed up in that. But either way, Savage gets into a bad situation, gets defeated, and Mother Talzin, who's the head of the Dathomiri witches, tells him, go find your brother. And we see a picture of Maul, and a whole bunch of people went, oh my God, is Maul still alive? Because that was the first time it had been revealed. Now in season 4, the last 2 episodes of the season, the ones we'll be talking about in a bit, we see him for the first time. And he's really out of it. He's definitely still kind of like half there, but he is alive, and he's going to find his way back to being a dark side force user. He's not a Darth anymore. And then from there, he has a bunch of adventures. He becomes head of a crime syndicate at one point. That's referenced in Solo. So we do know that he's going to be around for a while after this show. And then, of course, he has his final moments in the TV show Rebels, which if you haven't seen, I strongly recommend. I'm not going to spoil exactly what happens, but it's a great kind of last chapters for this character. Did I hit all the major points here?
I
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah.
So what do we know about Maul's motivation at this point in time in the story?
The trailer or the Clone Wars?
The trailer.
Okay.
For the Shadow Lord show.
My understanding, at least, is we see him in the Clone Wars send the syndicate leaders into hiding, and because this is before he is like, basically, I think he's coming out of hiding to fully amass a criminal empire where he rules at the top of all the top syndicates. That's the Pikes, the Crimson Dawn, etc. So that he could basically influence, as much as he can in the background of the galaxy, and kind of almost oppose Sidious through the underworld and become his own, dark Shadow Lord leader.
Right.
And it looks like in the trailer, if we are correct, which I am. So this trailer was actually slightly different from what we saw at Celebration. In Celebration, we do see that young girl wielding a red lightsaber.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So, I am obviously I do not know, but I would put good money and probably feel 90% sure that is going to be Darth Talon, which is his apprentice. And so I think another motivation of his is to procure a Jedi runaway fugitive and turn her to the dark side to have his own like apprentice assassin,
right?
Dooku adventurous style. I feel like to do his bidding and secure power.
Yeah, and we know that he's done that both before and after this. In the Clone Wars, he tries to do that with Savage Opress, his brother. At least they're both members of the Dathomir clan, the Night Brothers. And then later in Rebels, he's going to try and do that with Ezra Bridger. So yeah, it makes total sense. He would try and do it with
He
Talon
loves
as well.
his apprentice. Just wants everyone to be his apprentice, bro.
He really does.
I wonder, actually, may I speak to this for a moment? I do think that actually adds to the depth of Maul's character, because yes, he's evil, he's manipulative and all that stuff. But in reality, like we've talked about this before, that Maul is a pretty tragic character. And I feel like one of his biggest insecurities is the fact that he was cast aside by the Emperor. He was cast aside by his clan. He just always is thrown aside. And he, even with Savage, he was seeking a brother. He was seeking a brother and somebody he could control. So his own illness, mental illness, he wants to be very controlling. But I think he craves a partner in crime, someone that he can like directly be in partnership with, because we see that consistently as he seeks apprentices constantly throughout all of Star Wars. He never wants to be alone. He always wants someone with him.
Yeah,
and maybe it's just him. Sorry, Aaron, go ahead.
No, you can finish.
The last thing I was gonna say was maybe it's just him trying to mimic the rule of two that Palpatine always has an apprentice, but I feel like he's just an insecure little baby man child. Okay, I'm done.
I agree to an extent. I see his character somewhat as someone who's been abused and manipulated their whole life.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if Anakin were to have been found by Palpatine as a baby, instead of the Jedi finding him in his young age.
Yeah.
Rip.
And it's just someone who has constantly been told what to do, told you're not enough, told you're a monster, like all this bullshit. And just, I think he has this, like you said, Alex, there's like an insecurity behind it of well, now I have to be in control because my whole life I've been walked over and I've been used, and now I want to make other people feel like that because that's what I know to be power.
Yeah. I think so. And I think, he has always been someone who he wants a connection and he wants a cause. If you go back to the Phantom Menace movie, he talks about, finally we will be avenged upon the Jedi. Finally, we will, all of this. The Jedi have never done anything to him. The Jedi don't know he exists. It's really that Thanos moment of, I don't even know who you are. But because he's a Sith, he's been raised as part of the Sith, and that's his thing now. And now, in the Clone Wars, I think there's this really interesting balance where the two people he hates most are Obi-Wan Kenobi, who he wants revenge against, but who also has this kind of like, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, let's kiss, but I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, but I want you to be, you are the emotional focus of my life, and I want to be the emotional focus of your life, and I don't care if you love me or hate me, I just want that, like, it's that kind of like, I just want you to feel something about me, because then you're not going to toss me aside. And then at the same time, also, he wants revenge on the Sith. He wants revenge on Darth Sidious, as you said, for tossing him aside. And I think that's one of the things I'm most excited to see really explored is, and we get some of this in the Clone Wars, but I think this is going to be the first time it's really on this big a stage, is the idea that there are multiple different kinds of dark side users out there, and that it's not all the Sith. And I'm actually kind of curious. I know that the character in other settings is Darth Talon, but this is very specifically Maul. It is not Darth Maul, because he has, at other times in the Clone Wars and stuff, talked about how he rejects the Sith entirely. Do you think she's going to become Darth Maul, or is he not going to want her to have that title? Darth Talon. I mean.
Darth Talon.
Yeah, no, I followed. I'm just thinking. I could see it going a couple ways. I wonder if, you know what? Never mind. I have truly nothing to say. Alex?
It's a good question, because we always have known her as Darth Talon. Something I could see going down, Matthew, for her to reach that is perhaps that, like, she's Maul's apprentice, but like after a while seeks greater power, and so seeks to become a Darth and a true Sith. And so I could see, like, we don't see her obviously later in the show, and we know that like he was eventually like, left on that Sith temple. So like I could see her betraying him, or them getting into a fight, and her being like, I claim the title of Darth, and they like go at it. Because I don't think he would want her to take it either, because I think he sees that as like, if you're a Darth, you are a slave to the Sith mentality, and you're like one of Palpatine's ilk, and he hates Palpatine.
Yeah,
I see that for sure. I definitely think it would probably come from an estrangement of sorts, instead of him encouraging or being okay with her taking that name. And if I may slightly shift the topic.
Yeah, please.
I'm kind of curious if Maul has any suspicions about Kenobi being alive at this point. I don't remember Rebels well enough to know if he has a big ol' reaction to meeting Ben. But I think that'll be interesting to see this character that has made Obi-Wan Kenobi the emotional center of his life after his revival. I'd be interested to see what happens when he sees that character being removed. Go ahead, Alex.
He suspects that Obi-Wan is alive, but there is a scene after him and Ezra commune with the holocron where he runs out and he goes, she's alive, and he like runs out like losing his mind that he's alive. And then he has to bring Ezra back for that second communion to figure out that he is on Tatooine. But I don't believe Maul ever has confirmation. I think that Maul just kind of feels it in the Force that like Obi-Wan's still out there, but he doesn't know that Obi-Wan's still out there.
Yeah, and the giddiness you just heard in Alex's voice is very much there. Like, that's an accurate representation, and that's kind of what I talked about, the love-hate. Like, we joke about Kiss. It's not that I think he ever wants that, but he doesn't want him to be gone. It's like, if you think, maybe actually the better analogy is, if you think about The Dark Knight, the second of the Christopher Nolan movies, there's a moment where Joker sort of says to Batman, like, I don't actually really want to know who you are. I don't want to catch you. I'm like the dog chasing the car. I wouldn't know what to do if I caught you. I want to just, focus my life on fighting with you. And I feel like that's kind of Maul with Obi-Wan here.
Obi-Wan's hot.
I agree, because for someone who wants revenge on Obi-Wan so fucking bad, he really passes up every chance to kill Obi-Wan in these first few episodes of him being back in the Clone Wars.
Yeah, he definitely does.
Obi-Wan just seems to always draw everyone in, and they become obsessed with him pretty quickly. Maul, Ventress, Grievous, Anakin, they're all just like Kenobi, and Obi-Wan's just like, bro, I'm just living my life out here. It's hard being this fabulous.
Well, and in one of the episodes we'll talk about, we get to see Ventress and Maul literally fighting over Obi-Wan, which is kind of a great thing. And some of the best of the flirtation dynamic between Obi-Wan and Ventress that we'll get into.
I just sorry, one last thing on this, then we can move on. I just want to picture what goes through Palpatine's head. That every fucking like dark Sidious he's ever had to deal with is obsessed with this random fucking man who he's like, Palpatine's like, I have met Obi-Wan Kenobi. He's not that great. And like, I remember at the end of Obi-Wan when like Anakin's losing his mind trying to go after him, and Palpatine's just looking at him with his mouth wide open, like, bruh, how is everyone obsessed with the same motherfucker? So Obi-Wan just causing problems from the Empire since day one. It makes me so happy that Palpatine probably punches the air when he thinks about Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I mean, Obi-Wan's the one who screwed up his plans, because he did have big plans for Darth Maul before Obi-Wan chopped him in half.
Mm-hmm.
One last thing about this, and then we can get into the Clone Wars itself. One thing I'm thinking about in terms of this is that often with some of these newer shows, we often, especially in this post, like once the Empire has begun era, but before the original movies or before even Rebels, we often see not the reaction to Order 66 anymore, but the reaction to, the Emperor's speech, to this is now an empire. I'm curious if we'll get something like that. Particularly, will we see the moment where Maul finds out that Obi-Wan is officially dead?
And he doesn't believe it.
Yeah. Because I'd be kind of curious. That would be an interesting way to sort of establish that dynamic of like, he's my most hated enemy, and I'll be so pissed off if someone else killed him.
It's so funny, bro.
It's tragic. It's so tragic.
Oh my god.
Anything else from the trailer itself before we start diving into his appearance in the Clone Wars, which will have a connection?
Yes. I am just obsessed that we are once again getting our Clone Wars style animation back. Sorry to Rebels, but I'm an avid hater of that animation style compared to the Clone Wars.
Hater.
Yeah.
It is inferior to Clone Wars by far.
It pissed me off. It's one of the reasons I stopped watching the show when it first came out.
Rebels is an incredible show, and the animation style is serviceable.
But why are the lightsabers so goddamn skinny? It's like a pencil dick.
Serviceable. Because to be fair, can I?
When it comes to lightsabers, size doesn't matter.
The Rebels animation style is based on Ralph McQuarrie's original concept art for Star Wars. The designs for Chopper and the annoying protocol droid are the original designs for R2-D2 and C-3PO, and the lightsabers were originally designed to be super thin. So the whole premise there was it's supposed to be an homage to the original concept art, and that is why.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I can definitely have some more. That sounded super condescending. I'm just emotionally dead inside. I'm tired out.
Girl, I feel you.
Yeah, I definitely can see that through a new lens now. So thank you for telling me.
Aaron and I have seen each other out in those streets. We did have
we do.
Inside.
I hear that. I
just like give him a shoulder tap. I'm like, glad you're safe.
Aaron saved my ears at a noise protest, actually.
I did.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. We are all in the streets of Minneapolis right now, where the snow is bad, but the ice is worse. So that's what we're referring to there. One couple of quick things on that. I will say, and again, this is not to say better or worse. Artistically, you probably are both right. I don't have a very artistic mindset. I far prefer the animation style of Rebels, because to me it feels much more real. It feels less like a Saturday morning cartoon. And I find it relatable in a much more way. And that's, again, probably just my age and other things like that. I will also say part of why I like the thin lightsabers is they look like sabers. The kind of like you think about like foils, from fencing kind of swords. So I think that's part of why I like that. It does, though, make me realize, and here's maybe a good transition. One of the things that I was watching these episodes and really kind of got into, because we often talk about how there's a lot of stuff from the Legends canon that people are angry that it gets forgotten, but advocate of like actually a lot of Legends is getting brought in more and more into the canon.
Mhm.
And I think like Acolyte, for example, did a huge amount of it, but it was happening in the Clone Wars already. And one of them is with the Sith Code. The Sith Code is something that comes from originally the Knights of the Old Republic video game,
So good.
but was then kind of written into a lot of the novels, and particularly the books about Darth Bane and sort of the founder of the Rule of Two and all that, quote the Sith Code and deal with the philosophy it quite a lot. And I had totally forgotten until I watched these episodes that we get a quote from them. Because I'm going to quickly read the full code. It's very short, and it's very specifically meant to be a reaction to the Jedi Code, because the Jedi Code starts with the idea that there are no emotions, there's only peace. And so the first line is the Sith Code is, peace is a lie, there is only passion. Through passion I gain strength, through strength I gain power, through power I gain victory, through victory my chains are broken, the Force shall free me. Early on in the first of the 2 episodes we saw, it's a 2-episode arc, so it's not like it's basically one combined story. When Opress first finds Maul, and Maul is kind of babbling and kind of half mentally there, one of the first things he says is, and we kind of hear him muttering some other things, but the words that are clearly heard are, passion, my chains are broken. And I got chills at that. I was like, oh, I forgot they quote the Sith Code. Mm-hmm. This is not the first time, because it's actually referenced in the Mordor arc as well, but it is brought up here. And did you catch that as Maul is giving the voiceover in this trailer, and he talks about like all the things that might happen, including Empire's fall at the end, one of the things he says is chains are broken.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got chills to that. I was like, okay, so we're tying all this together in a really cool way.
Yeah, I've always loved the Sith and the Jedi Code and the Grey Code and all that. And I often notice that they quietly reference it with the whole breaking of the chains thing. I always think immediately back to the Sith Code whenever they do that, because that's like,
right.
Maul especially quotes that often, like wanting to break his chains.
Yeah. And to be clear, there's a lot of Sith fanboys out there. That's not, I think it's an awesome like thing to think about in terms of philosophies of evil. I'm not saying it's a good code. It's basically like the most super libertarian thing you've ever heard in your life, where the idea is that the only way I can have freedom is if every single other person in the galaxy is my slave. But I think it's an interesting thing to discuss. Not that I think it's like, yeah, good philosophy of life. All right. So with that, let's start talking about these episodes themselves. Anyone want to give me a quick plot summary?
Savage Opress is in search of Maul. He hops on a trash ship. Is that a fair description? And basically, Mental hasn't given him this little pennant that glows when he gets closer to Maul, and he keeps getting closer and closer. It's getting brighter, then it just goes out, and he like gets angry, and so he throws the trash man out and puts the ship down, and then he lands, and it's this weird, basically, picture like a planet that the entire purpose of the planet is that other planets just dump trash on it. So it's a wasteland, and he's searching, and there's all these weird like trash. What do they call them? Like trash people. I can't remember what they call them. That are lurking around, getting in his way a little bit, but like not a huge issue. Then he comes across this giant slug, which is like, hey buddy, what are you looking for? Like, I can help you out. And basically convinces Savage to follow him, and it's like, I know the guy you're looking for, I can help you, looks like you. And Savage like, it's like, take me there. And the slug leads him into this little hut, and there's nothing in there, and it ends up being a trap. The slug knocks him down. Savage falls into this pit down below to find his brother Maul deranged, crazy, and like had lost his mind. And instead of a lower half of a body, he's attached to like a mechanical spider body, basically. And Maul just keeps screaming like, Jedi, and pretty sure he says Kenobi. And that's all he keeps muttering. And Savage is trying to reason with him. He can't reason with him. And the slug comes back. He's like, did you kill him yet? Can I have what's left over? And he's like, oh, fuck. And Savage kills the slug. And basically,
he's pretty clearly a snake, by the way.
But he's
Alex is really good at photography, not so good at the zoology.
Snake, slug.
But-
Okay, snake, whatever. And snake, it does make more sense. But he basically like is able to after getting a little of a tussle with Maul, he uses this like light device thing to lure Maul, like with the little pennant, to lure Maul back onto the ship to try and get him help. And he ends up bringing him back. I could just combine the two episodes. He ends up bringing him back to Dathomir, where Mother Talzin performs a ritual to cleanse his insanity, and also whips up new, still mechanical, but like actually legs for him. They still have kind of weird, like General Grievous-esque grippers at the bottom in this first variation.
It's almost
And
like
then Talzin disappears, and Maul and Savage are kind of left alone, and Maul starts running and starts telling Savage his plans, and it's like, I've missed so much, blah, blah, blah. And they decide to at first be partners in crime together. And now I'm blanking where it leaves. I don't want to go into another episode. Where does it leave off?
So from there, and I'll kind of wrap it up quick. He basically convinces Savage that they need to fight Kenobi. Savage is also in the same way, very much like Maul. He wants to be part of a team. He wants to be a follower. He wants to have a cause. And he says, okay, so what we've got to do is do just an act of horrible savagery.
Right. Yeah.
And so they basically send a message to Obi-Wan that's a recording of them killing children and doing these horrible things, and saying, you have to come, and you have to come alone to this planet to face me, or else I'm just going to make this planet burn. Kenobi goes against the wishes of Mace Windu, but Yoda agrees that he should go alone. But also they're kind of like, yeah, well, maybe he won't be completely alone. We just won't send another Jedi. Obi-Wan goes, oh my God, surprise, it was a trap. He can't defeat Maul and Savage together. He gets knocked out, and great surprise, Ventress comes to rescue him. The four of them have a back and forth fight, during which Obi-Wan has some comments about, making fun of Obi-Wan and Ventress are basically doing that bickering that should be what enemies do, but now they're kind of on the same side and they're kind of flirting, but they're bickering. And there's some great stuff about there's one of my favorite lines is Obi-Wan says, okay, we have to get out of this. And Ventress says, really? You're running away? And he says, well, I learned it from you. Because often she runs away from their fights. Mm-hmm. And then she just says, oh, now you're funny. It's just a wonderful set of lines. But they wind up escaping, and we're left with kind of Savage and Maul ready to take on the rest of the galaxy in the next episode, in the next season.
Except Maul and Savage don't have a cockpit.
Yeah, they escape basically they're on the ship together, and they trap them in the cargo hold, and then Ventress and Obi-Wan launch away and kind of leave them floating. I'm not going to get into it, but basically that they're left kind of floating around and are eventually found by the Mandalorians in a later episode, which is how he gets involved in Death Watch and his story continues. But we leave off with him and Savage basically trapped in a cargo hold floating in space.
Isn't he found by the pirates first?
No spoilers. We'll get
the pirates first?
Okay, my bad.
Maybe you're right. It was the pirates first.
Delete that.
Yeah, I think it was the pirates.
They're
first.
left to float into an abyss, and nobody knows.
It was the pirates first. Mandalorians later. They keep getting fucking lost and found.
They're gonna have some adventures. Don't worry. We will talk about all of it or reference it all before we get to the Maul show for sure.
Spoilers. It's been out for 10 years.
I know. So what do you think of these episodes? What do you think of this arc?
I love it. I think it's fun. It's quite dark, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it's literally the first episode ends with Maul sending a video of him decapitating just a line of captives, excuse me. And then their limp bodies falling to the ground. Mm-hmm. It's either the end of the first episode or the very start of the second episode.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
Oh, it's also the start of the second. Yeah.
The first episode is the first one in Clone Wars where the logo turns red instead of being yellow, and it's a really
I remember it making me so
scared.
Red.
Yeah.
I saw it and I was like, oh no. And then when it came back in season 7, I was like, oh no.
Yeah. This is one of the episodes that is most quoted when people want to be like, this is a kids show? Really?
Yeah, some dark shit in there.
Mm-hmm.
I would say I really love these episodes. I'm trying to think back because like I have admittedly watched the Clone Wars so many times, y'all. And I'm probably gonna do a rewatch soon. But I think back to the first time I watched this episode and the pure shock I felt as a child. I was like, excuse me. Like, not only is Darth Maul like for real alive, but like he's even more badass than I even could have imagined. Because as a kid, you watch him in Phantom Menace, and you're like, damn, like so much potential for the coolest looking villain in all of Star Wars, and he's just gone. And now you get to see him in action, just like pure evil wrecking people. And I also think it's just very masterfully done to show that like his hatred for Kenobi drove him along, and he starts off with just a very like animalistic like I want to kill Kenobi goal, and it only grows and his character deepens and his goals expand beyond Kenobi. And you can see hints of that, but seeing his wild rage off the rip and his revenge that's endured for so long is really compelling. Plus, Ventress and Obi-Wan working together, fuck yeah, dude. The romance continues.
It's the best. It's
the romantic dance continues.
He says, when did you become the good guy? She said, don't insult me.
They're just forever in love.
Their banter is so good. And I love all of that. And I also I love Ventress, but really I love the Night Sisters. Like I loved everything about them. And I think we were actually able to talk about it, and we might get to it later. But earlier in season 4, what did I say wrong?
It's not you, it's Alex. He did some fuck shit. Carry on.
Okay. It's fine. Keep going.
But earlier in season 4, we saw the Night Sisters get wiped out by Dooku and the droids and Grievous. And I remember being really kind of bummed when that happened because these are such fascinating characters. Why would you kill them off so soon? And so to find out that Savage can go back to Dathomir and Mother Talzin's dead, but her spirit can basically reconstitute itself and then still use force powers, much more so than Palpatine could, even in Rise of Skywalker till the very end. That made me so happy, and that made me really feel like, okay, so Night Sisters continue to be on their weird mystical stuff. They're badass. Their dark side is hell, but they're not Sith. Love this. And the fact that she does build those legs and it's kind of a techno thing, but it is 100% force magic. I also really loved.
Yeah, I'm so glad that the Night Sisters have a slight revival. And honestly, in my head, because the episodes right before this is the episode right before it is Massacre. Actually, I lied. 2 episodes before this is Massacre when all the Night Sisters are killed. And I almost wonder if those episodes and these episodes aren't concurrent. And when the his little pennant, it was glowing and then it went dead. I was wondering to myself, is that when all the Night Sisters were killed? Is that when Mother Talzin's mortal body was killed?
Oh, I like that.
And then she later revives.
Yeah.
Never even considered that.
And another thing, sorry, it's a bit of a topic change.
Well, let me just say one more thing on that then, and then please change the topic. I don't want to have too many hopes or expectations for the show because I think that's been historically a really good way to get disappointed by it. And so I want to go in with just a complete open mind. So this is a possibility, not something I'm hoping for, but I think it might happen. We've seen that Star Wars is more and more trying to have, one property feed into another and kind of use one property to tell a story from one period of time that gives more context and lore for a group of people in another part of the time. Mm-hmm. We know that in the Ahsoka show, as I said, the Night Sisters are a very important group and are clearly going to be an important part of Ahsoka season 2.
Hell yeah!
And so I wonder if Maul's going to have some encounters with Mother Talzin, or even Asajj Ventress, or some other.
Doesn't Talzin get fully wrecked by Windu at the end of fully disintegrate at the end of the Clone Wars?
She does get fucked, I believe.
I'm pretty sure. There's other Night Sisters, but I'm pretty sure she gets her shit absolutely handed to her, thanks to Mace Windu and Matthew's favorite character in the Star Wars universe, Jar Jar Binks.
And we all forgot about it due to the trauma of Jar Jar having a sex scene.
Yeah, we don't have to. We would talk about that when we get there.
Yellow. Yep, I'm pulling my safe word. Yeah, I will not be on that. I will not be on that episode if you guys do that one. But yeah, I think you're right. So it wouldn't be Mother Talzin, but it might be Asajj Ventress. It might be just some other Night Sisters. It might just be talking about the idea of the Night Sisters. Yeah, Talon might have been connected with them. So,
But also Ventress came back to life, so maybe Talzin did. Who fucking knows? No one's ever actually dead in Star Wars.
Except for Qui-Gon Jinn.
Yes.
Except for Qui-Gon motherfucking Jinn. That man got done so dirty.
Look, you can get literally chopped in half. You can get shot. You can get totally force destroyed.
You can get stabbed through the chest
In the same way.
in the same exact way. But if you're Liam Neeson on Naboo, you are just fucked, brother.
You know.
Maul
I
must
mean-
have really good aim.
They
So
probably couldn't afford him for more than one movie.
yeah, the midichlorians know what the contract will allow, and so his midichlorian gave up the ghost. All right, but
Gave
Aaron,
up the ghost.
Aaron, you wanted to change our topic.
Okay.
Dead.
I just kind of had a thought as we've been talking over the last 30 minutes about how this is the first time when Maul comes back and Savage gives him a lightsaber. Savage is using the double-bladed lightsaber, which Maul used to use.
Mm-hmm.
But Maul just has a singular red blade. And we don't see him with the double saber again, I think, until he confronts Ahsoka.
Mhm.
And so I thought that was very interesting that he like switches his weapon choice. But also I was thinking to myself, like, well, in his experience, the apprentice has the double bladed and the single saber belongs to the master.
Yeah.
So I wondered, like, if that's not. It just made me think about it. I was like, that's interesting. That could be him, like, even further trying to play into the rule of two or just the
Right.
master-apprentice relationships that he's seen and how to emulate them.
There's so much that these shows do about lightsabers and who holds what lightsaber and the positions they use. This is also, I think, the only time that we see a Jedi who is still a Jedi using a red lightsaber. Because Obi-Wan doesn't have his lightsaber, so Asajj Ventress, who has two normally, she fights kind of sometimes similarly to Ahsoka. She gives one of her lightsabers to Obi-Wan, and so him fighting with a red lightsaber is such a weird sight. Also, in one of the most like pivotal duel scenes from Star Wars Rebels, Obi-Wan goes through a number of different stances. And one of the kind of middle stance that he goes through before going into his final stance. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, check out our episode from the past about this episode of Rebels or any of the 8 million pieces of YouTube media out there that break this down, including some by Sam Witmer, the voice of Maul. He goes through like 3 different stages, and the middle one is the one he goes through when he's about to fight Maul in this one. So I just really like, I got a little chill seeing that stage of it.
Yeah, it's cool knowing what's to come, what we have yet to learn, what we can speculate on.
Mm-hmm.
Obi-Wan's the goat.
Yep, he really is.
I love how I actually think it's very fitting that in a podcast episode about Darth Maul or Maul, we are discussing so much about Obi-Wan Kenobi. Maul would be so upset if he could hear this podcast.
I mean, Kenobi is vitally important to Maul, unfortunately.
Also, is this the first show that will be released under when does Dave Filoni officially take over for Kathleen Kennedy?
I don't know, but I know that it was mostly created while Kennedy was still in
Right.
charge.
But I'm just curious, like,
I don't know. Yeah.
I'll figure it out.
All right. Well, this has been a good discussion. Any other last comments people want to make about these episodes, about the trailer, about anything like that?
Yes.
Aaron has much to say.
Aaron,
I
hit
have
us
a
with your
few
list.
things. So one thing that I love, I mean, Savage Opress is one of my favorite characters in Star Wars. I'll be completely honest. I think he has such a tragic story. Savage, yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, Maul is also a great character, but just I got to know Savage in a more personal way, being that I watched the Clone Wars more often than I did the actual movies growing up.
Yeah.
And I wasn't allowed to see Revenge of the Sith, so I was kind of like, well, why would I keep rewatching these first 2 movies if I can't watch the last one? I guess I'll just watch the Clone Wars.
Because Revenge of the Sith is too dark, but these episodes, they're fine.
Exactly. My parents clearly didn't watch this show with me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've always
That's why
loved
Erin's the way she
Savage
is.
as a character. God damn! I just caught a crazy stray. Anyways,
Children, don't make me turn this podcast around.
oh, you like it? Admit it.
Yeah.
Fuck,
I'm dead.
Alex.
I'm dead. I am dead.
Right. No. Savage very much is a tragic character, and he very much, he is the younger brother, and he's the brother that wants to be brothers. He says in these episodes, like, we are brothers. There's no need for dominance between us. And Maul is like, yes, but I'm the master and you're the apprentice. And Savage is like, God fucking damn it, again? Like, this poor guy just can't catch a break. Like, I feel so much for Savage because when he first was turned from his original, form to this hulking Savage Opress, he was almost completely under mind control.
Yeah.
Like, he was not his own person.
And he was forced to, among other things, kill his brother. Like, quite literally.
Yeah, his actual blood brother.
That shit's tough.
And I love how they just keep his like brute force. Like, one thing I've noticed is that Savage, he has very strong force powers. He uses them all the time, but he never force chokes people. He picks them up with the force, brings them to his hand, and then wraps his massive hand around the entirety of their neck and squeezes.
Yeah.
And I loved that. It's like, it's brutal, it's gruesome, it's different from a typical Sith Lord that tend to be almost a little more hands off. He's just so gritty with it, which I think is
so gritty with it.
If you know D&D, this man is making strength rolls and no dex rolls. Like,
Facts.
only strength attacks.
Facts.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. So yeah, I love those little tiny things that show us the differences between them two, because Maul is so, once he gets his mind back, he's so poised, and Savage is still just so brutal and uncontrolled.
Animalistic for real.
Animalistic for real. So yeah, I think he's a very interesting character. I really like his character design. It was really cool seeing him turn in to what he became from his original Night Brother status. So yeah, I love Savage. I love his brutality in this. And the differences in their brutality. Like, Savage is going to do it with his fists, and Maul is going to do it with the Force or with his lightsaber.
Yeah.
And then my final bit, I just wrote down some of the rantings that Maul had when he was still Mr. Spider-Man in his little cave. And one kind of, I don't know, poem almost that he says, because his brother says, like, oh, what happened to you? And he's like, Jedi. And Savage is like, you don't remember who you are. And Maul says, always remember that I am fear. Always remember that I am hunter. Always remember that I am filth. Always remember that I am nothing.
That's from Palpatine right there.
Yeah. And it's so beautiful because, and this ties into what you were saying before about Savage. He is someone who is, actually, this is kind of a cool connection. I never really thought about this. Think about the two things he's obsessed with. He is obsessed with killing Kenobi, but he's also obsessed with, he wants to have this emotional bond with Kenobi. In the same way, he's obsessed with destroying the Sith and rejecting the Sith, but he also can't get away from them. That idea of, master and servant that is so essential to the Sith. He can't let go of that. He has to replicate that with Savage, and later with others who he tries to make his apprentice. And I'll be curious to see how that comes up in Shadow Lord, because it feels like he's both trying to reject the Sith, but he can't change that. Like, Savage learned about the dark side outside of the Sith. Maul didn't. Maul was literally raised from a baby to be a Sith.
Yeah, that's true. It's interesting. It's like they're tapping into slightly different aspects of the dark side. That's a good point.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Alex, any last things?
I'm just very excited about the trailer. Maul has always been one of my favorite characters in Star Wars, and I think that like a show specifically about him, 'cause I feel like a lot of, like, part of his allure obviously is that he like comes over. He's not very prominent all the time. Like, he kind of just appears for short bursts here and there, and like he kind of like Vader in the original trilogy, especially, like the presence has to be used. But I am very interested in a show about him and to see him and his inner workings and just anything where I get more Sam Witwer makes me very excited.
Mhm.
So I'm very excited to see as well. See the the way the lightsaber was moving in that trailer, boy. I am excited.
Ooh.
Like
It looks so good.
the blur, and I
Mhm.
was like, it's
Yeah.
just gonna be good.
I'm excited for it.
So yeah.
Well, listeners, thank you so much. Write in with your questions about Darth Maul, because we will do a full primer episode in which we will kind of go through his entire timeline and establish everything we know both before and after the show is going to happen. We will figure out if it's pirates or whatever it is, next that happens to him. We'll get all that research done. We'll share it all with you. We'll talk about all of our opinions and thoughts. But send in questions that you want us to discuss when we get to that. Of course, we're also going to continue our other coverage of Clone Wars. There's lots of great things coming out for Star Wars this year that we're really excited about. We're going to do some episodes about kind of things that Star Wars has taught us, particularly that are relevant to what's happening in Minneapolis and our country, around the world. So yeah, we got a lot of great content planned for you. So please continue to check this out. Share this with your friends. We are going to be going back to a week-by-week schedule after being so long in the once every other week. We've got enough content now between the new episodes, some of the book episodes we did that were just members only before, and stuff like that. So I'm going to say on behalf of all of us wrapping up, but I can't, because after I asked him, do you have any last thoughts? And Alex said, I'm done. Now he's raising his hand to indicate that he has a last thought. So
it's not
Alex.
specifically about Maul. I just to our listeners, sorry that I'm so sporadic as a way to being on the show. Matthew and Aaron have been very patient with me. As a journalist right now in Minnesota, it's very hard. I spend hours and hours on end chasing ice around, trying to photograph their actions in our city. And it's very mentally and physically draining. And so they were kind enough to record a different day today for me. But if you see me kind of just haphazard for the next few weeks, that is why. My love of Star Wars is not diminished. I am just pressed into the service of documenting the things that ICE have been doing in our city. And if you want to follow along with that, you can check out my Instagram and see all the crazy shit I see every day.
Yeah. And both me and Aaron are kind of doing our best as volunteers to get involved with what's happening. Alex is a professional journalist. He works for the Minnesota State Tribune.
Star Tribune.
Star Tribune, thank you. If you've seen pictures of, a good deal of pictures that are of what's happening, were probably ones that he took. So check that out on Instagram. Alex, thank you so much. We're glad you can be here today. I hope this is a nice kind of,
Very nice.
break from all that.
Very nice.
But certainly anytime you have to miss, and there might be times where we have something that we're planning to do, and then there's a last minute protest or something like that comes up, and we have to cancel because real life gets in the way sometimes. And these shows are great for what they inspire us to do, but sometimes we're going to be out fighting the Empire instead of.
Star Wars is never more relevant than it is right now, Matthew. Never more relevant.
Never more relevant. That's for sure. Well, thank you so much. On behalf of myself, Alex and Aaron, all you fans, we have spoken.
Stay classy, Dathomir.
I am nothing.
Is what every ICE agent should
I
say.
thought you were going to say, I
freaking
was
day.
hoping for Kenobi.
But that's not from these episodes, so I can't pull it out.
Oh, she just...